Hey. 下午好. So, the weather is terrible, but if you look out across this bay, Shenzhen Bay, you'll make out the silhouette of Hong Kong. I can see it just through the fog there. Might not come out in the camera, not sure. At the end of last year, I stood over there. I stood over in Hong Kong and looked out over here, to Shenzhen, wondering if I'd ever come back. Well, it turns out I did. 你们去过吗？香港？
没有。
没有，还没有。你们住在深圳吗？
不是，我们外地的。
哦，外地的。
我们是内地的。
哦，内地的。OK， 什么省份？
河南。
哦，河南。哦 ，OK， 来旅游的吗？
来旅游。
啊，这样子，我也是。
你是哪的？
我是美国人。
呀，你的汉语讲真好了。
我没有。在河南，你们说什么方言？有方言吗？
河南，我们基本上就是河南，我们现在说的话基本就是河南话。
哦，河南话 ，OK， 有像普通话吗？
比较普通话比较相像，
比普通话生硬一点点。
哦，这样。
但是没有什么四川的啦，什么上海的那么的说话。
河南话基本上都听得懂。
哦 ，OK， 啊，能听得懂的。
听得懂，能听得懂。
不错。
我们的语速比较慢。
对。
哦。
那欢迎来到河南。
谢谢。There you go. They are from Henan, a province more in the center of China. And as you just heard, they've never been to Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a very special status in modern China. If you joined me for my trip to Hong Kong 6 months ago, I talked quite a bit about it. But for the 1 billion people that grew up inside of mainland China, who are Chinese citizens, it's actually very difficult for them to cross that border and go over to Hong Kong. They need a special permit, and they can only go for a week at a time. 你好，好热吗？ That man was giving you a good example of the Beijing bikini. When it's too hot out, you gotta like raise your shirt up. That lets out the heat. Cools you down. I believe that's the logic. Got a nice free outdoor gym here. As you can see behind me, there's a lot of things under construction here in Shenzhen. Even now, even with the economy being as it is. Can't really touch on that. Shenzhen is one of the few examples in the world of a successful planned city. Some people will tell you that if you go back several decades, Shenzhen was nothing but a fishing village. And that's not completely true, but it is true that Shenzhen was a city of no importance in China. It was just the last stop before Hong Kong. During the turbulent years of the 50s, 60s, and 70s in mainland China, during the years of the Great Leap Forward, the Cultural Revolution, there were hundreds of thousands of people that came here to the lands that are now known as Shenzhen. And they came here in an effort to cross that bay and swim, yes, swim to Hong Kong. Hong Kong, back then, was seen as a land of opportunities. And if you made it there, it was your ticket to a better life. See all the workers coming off of their lunch break. Off to build something. 哎，我想问一下，那个建筑是什么？你们在建筑什么？地下隧道。Okay. Over here you have fancy apartment buildings surrounded by nature. We're just a stone's throw to Shenzhen Bay, where you can look out on Hong Kong. Probably a lot of people who would choose to live here have business dealings with Hong Kong. They would need to go on a regular basis. He told you your job?
他下个月他自己晚上也自己 叫他回去。
啊，
他回去还在他那里有个充电桩吗？那里有个充电的地方，还就回去，还要这堵一走，把电充上。
哦。You know, I don't normally film in bathrooms, but I can't help but notice the maker of this toilet is called Trump. Coincidence? Okay, let's get back onto the streets of Shenzhen. Alright, so here, just past the wave of electric scooters, is Huaqiangdai, China's premier hardware street. You can find every kind of hardware on sale. Just behind here. 5G intelligence station. So do you remember that video of the guy who built an iPhone from scratch? Remember that one? Well, this is the city that he did it in. This says it's a place to fix your phone or your camera. Let's see how much it costs and how long it takes. 比如说，如果玻璃破坏了，我要修，你们收多少钱？100多块钱。100多块钱，然后要多长时间？1-2个小时。1-2个小时。So, you got a cracked iPhone screen. Costs about $12, $13, and about an hour or two to get it fixed. As you can imagine, Apple Care probably doesn't have as many customers in the city of Shenzhen. I hate to ask, but why is there no electricity for the escalator going up to the electronics world? What's up with that? 先生，为什么电的台阶没有电？
哦，坏掉一个。
OK， 你现在要开。好，
一个坏掉。
谢谢，不错。
一个。
The electricity has been restored to the escalator at Electronics World. Everything is right in the world. Ni 还是我拍他？你比无人机有天赋。Humans win again. To be honest though, I remember being here like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was way crazier back then. I feel like maybe the pandemic or the economy has kind of slowed things down a bit. It's still worth a visit though, if you come to China. If you're in the area. It's entertaining. A good place to stock up on all your electronics. Replace your power adapters. Get a new iPhone charger. 可以看一下吗？哦，是按摩的吗？
对，按摩的10块钱。
哦，眼镜按摩。
对，眼镜按摩的。
我可以试一下吗？
可以。现在只有这一款机器。
OK。
消毒一下。
I'm about to massage my eyes. I have no idea what that means. About to find out. There's another massager right behind me. Getting double teamed here.
对，下巴稍微扬起来一点。对，正确。我给你放的是综合模式。
眼睛应该开的吗？还是关的？
闭上。
哦，闭上。Okay, closing my eyes. This is kind of trippy. If he's currently preparing a weapon or something like that on the side, let me know, guys. Cannot see anything. Kind of feels more like a head massage. I haven't made up my mind yet whether this feels good or not. 中国人喜欢吗？
很喜欢呀。 因为现在人都用手机，看手机的时间太多了，
哦，所以
眼睛感到很疲劳。
这样子，他们的头不太健康。I have this paranoid thought in my head right now that my eyeballs are being sucked out of my head. 这个要多长时间？
它一次是15分钟。
15分钟。
对。
哦。我觉得我已经可以了。
可以 ，OK。
我。
用完以后眨一下。
Good, my eyes are still here. My head still feels kind of weird. I think that was about as close as you get to a psychedelic experience in modern China. It says on this sign behind me that this is a Wang Hong Chao Pi Chu, an internet celebrity area. Do I qualify as an internet celebrity? Let's find out. 为什么在外面说这是个网红区？
网红区现在没有做了，
没有做了。OK， 没有网红了。
没有网红。
我是个网红。
你是网红？
我是外国的网红。They're not very impressed. Ooh, we do have a Luckin Park. I almost forgot about this place. This coffee place is a very good example of China over the last decade. One guy just woke up one day with the idea to destroy Starbucks by creating a coffee company based around tech. I don't think it's doing that great nowadays, but they expanded rapidly by just giving away discounts that you can only get by ordering the coffee on your phone. And of course, with a picture of an Italian guy to give it added status. Many of China's biggest companies have their headquarters right here in Shenzhen. For example, this right behind me, Shunfeng. Shunfeng is like the FedEx and UPS of China. It started off by just helping people to make cross-border deliveries from Shenzhen to Hong Kong, or the reverse. And then it grew to a massive company later on. Of course, Tencent, the company that made WeChat, the super app of China, the biggest social media app, the only social media app. They're headquartered here in Shenzhen as well, and have a giant, very impressive, a little bit Shinra building-esque headquarters somewhere in the city. I've been there once. I don't remember where it is. Let me cross the street. And you've even got DJI. If this GoPro doesn't stop freezing up on me, I might switch to them. 都是无人机吗？OK， 没有相机的。
相机啊？
OK， 因为 DJI 也有相机，是不是
？DJI 只有那种小小个的口袋相机。
啊，对对对。
那个没有。
比这个好吗？是。
那肯定的 ，DJI 威力好大。
无人机在中国哪里都可以用吗？
对。
你确定吗？因为我听说。
除非是机场的地方不能飞。
OK。
其他都没有。
OK。就是那些地方。
你要是说 A 坡那个地方，那你肯定飞不了了。
OK OK， 就是说军事的地方。
那是定飞的。
I've never used a drone in any of my videos, but I've thought about it. I'm not sure if this is the country to start in, because it's a place that has a lot of restrictions about flying drones over things. In 1980, under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping, as China was modernizing, it was decided that this place, which is now known as Shenzhen, would become the first special economic zone of China. That is, the laws were different, the tariffs were lowered. It was a place to do business. It was a place to import and export things to China. Back then, in the early 1980s, there was no city of Shenzhen. It was simply a collection of towns, municipalities. They were loosely connected. But at that moment, it was decided that it would become a city. A city that would have direct access to Hong Kong, being that it was right over the river. Hong Kong, of course, back then was still a British colony. And then, just like now, it has a very different economic system from the rest of China. It's basically free market capitalism to an extreme. Low tariffs, low taxes. It was a magnet drawing in talent from around the world, not just China. Deng Xiaoping wanted to create a mainland equivalent to that, just over the border from Hong Kong. But people streamed in from all over China, but mainly from the surrounding provinces. The natives of Shenzhen are actually a fairly small minority in the city. I'm sure if I asked a bunch of people here where they're originally from, most likely they're gonna say, not from Shenzhen. Maybe I should do that. 湖南。哦，你为什么搬到深圳？
过来工作。
工作 ，OK。湖南最大的城市是哪里？
长沙。
长沙。
对。
OK， 所以深圳的机会比长沙的比较多。
对。
OK， 麻烦你，先生，我可以问一下吗？你住在深圳吗 ？OK， 你是哪个省份的？
江西。
江西。OK， 所以你从江西搬到深圳的。
对。
OK， 江西没有深圳的机会吗？I think that laugh said it all. 你是深圳人吗？不是。你不是，你在哪里出生的？
我在太原，山西。
山西啊，你住在深圳吗？
不是，我是过来旅游的。
过来旅游的。
你是哪国的？
我是美国人。
美国哪个州啊？
纽约。对，去过吗？
没去过，我还没出过国。
OK， 可以去，可以去。
这边怎么样？就是纽约怎么样？
我觉得好棒，好棒，有点不一样，但是
和中国比，和深圳比起来怎么样？
这是个有意思的问题，因为我觉得技术方面，我觉得差不多了。
技术差不多。
对对，但是我觉得可能美国生活水平还是高一点，但是也贵一点，贵一点。但是我也觉得中国比较安全，所以对。你的 T 恤 ，sex, money, drugs， 就是做爱、钱、毒品。I'm back. Good. Probably didn't know that before I put that shirt on. And everybody's getting off of work. As you can see by the sea of people walking against me. Oh, they're here to pick up the rented bike. Oh, 这些是坏的吗？坏了吗？
好的。
好的。
好的，然后合到一块儿。
OK。
有点那个距离。
这样子，这样。跟你两个拍个照。你好。So the rented bike companies in China, which you may have heard of, the way they work is, you can just start riding one and then leave it somewhere. But in practice, these companies actually have to hire people, go and collect a lot of the bikes that were left in random places they're not supposed to be left. They load them into a truck, and then they start dropping them off in the designated pickup zones. So many people going towards that metro. This is Shenzhen, but this is supposed to be a Hong Kong themed restaurant. The way they always represent that in China, in mainland China. I know it's the same country. Is with these neon lights, where they have like little mahjong blocks, all the stereotypical stuff of Hong Kong that I showed you when I went there. And they'll always have like a meal offering like a lemonade, some kind of tea, stuff like that. Even though Cantonese is not as important of a language as it is in Guangzhou and especially Hong Kong, here in Shenzhen, it still has a presence. It's right here, we're in the area of Futian. And here is where the border between Shenzhen and Hong Kong is at its narrowest point. They're separated by just a river. Let me show you.
不是深圳人，深圳人不干活的，深圳人不要干活的。
好像在深圳没有深圳人。
对，深圳人不干活的，有深圳人看不见，看不见的。
对对对，很少看到。
看不见，他不需要干活呀。对吧？他去香港去了，去澳门去了。这样子。是吧？他们就去香港去了，不在这边了。
你说他们都搬到香港了？
对，搬那边去了，对，搬那边去了。
对对对，他们很有钱。
对
对对，
他们每年回来拉钱就可以了。
这样。
是吧？
对。
没得领钱就可以了。
啊，你去过深圳去过香港吗？
没去过。
你没有去过啊？
没去过。
哇，你去香港很难吗？
不难，但是我们没条件去啊。
啊， okay.
对吧？没条件啊。
你需要回去你去生的地方来安排吗？去我
出生的地方就可以。
哇，
香港没条件要这个呀。
哇，
对吧？
好麻烦。但是香港也好贵。
你住一晚上要这么多钱。对吧？
对，
还不算吃的哦。
你就要至少700人民币住一个晚上。对。深圳比较便宜。
去不起。没需要就不去嘛。如果做生意啊、工作啊，那肯定去哈。如果去玩就没有实力。
啊，对。
听得懂我讲话吗？
我听得懂，我会中文。
好，谢谢 ，OK。
谢谢你。再见。He had a fun attitude. But that was interesting what he said. This man lives in Shenzhen. We were just driving right past the border of Hong Kong. He has never gone there. Basically, he has to go back home to whatever province he's from. I don't think he told me. And he has to apply for a 1-week permit to go and visit Hong Kong. I think the idea was, without those restrictions, Hong Kong, with its limited space, limited land, would be overwhelmed by mainlanders wanting to move in. A fear on the minds of many Hong Kongers. Interestingly, it seems they've turned one of the canals that separates Shenzhen from Hong Kong into a little park to do your jogging in. Say what you will about Shenzhen. It is a fairly nice looking city. I mean, it was planned to look that way. You've even got some fun Latin American beats to accompany you for your jog along the Hong Kong border. And here is the wall that separates mainland China from Hong Kong. One country, two systems, or so it is said. But what a border, huh? Looking at this massive fence, loads of barbed wire on top. You would think this was the border between the US and Mexico, or Morocco and Spain. An extremely fortified border for a line dividing two parts of the same country. Behind this fence is no man's land. You cannot go in there unless you want a lot of problems. This is a fun sign. More because they tried to design the English in the same way that the Chinese is written. So it says, border area, smuggling activities for the peace of crack down on illegal immigration end. I think they're trying to say no smuggling and no illegal immigration. That's interesting how they refer to Chinese people going to Hong Kong as illegal immigration, is it not? 麻烦你们，我可以问一下吗？你们住在深圳吗？
对。
啊，你住在这里附近吗？
是的。怎么了？
哦，你们经常去香港吗？
没有，偶尔。
你有深圳户口吗？
有啊。
哦，这样子，这样子。OK。
没有的话也可以去的呀。
没有也可以
有居住证就
哦
可以。
OK， 我以为因为别人跟我说很难的，他们要回去他们的省份。
好像他们跟我们又不一样，他们需要护照还是回籍什么的啊？
对。你们去香港的时候，你们去买东西或者
吃东西、买东西、
吃东西
都有。
有些去爬山、看海都有。
这样子，这样子。你觉得香港贵不贵？
好像跟深圳差不多啊。
吃东西贵，但是如果是买购物的话就便宜。
哦，这样子。
因为它不用税呀。
哦，对对对，你说的对。OK， 谢谢你们，谢谢你们，再见。这是什么东西啊？这是以前的地堡吗？
没有。
没有。哦，这是新建的吗？OK。 Thought this might have been like an old bunker separating mainland China from the British just a little over 20 years ago. A lot of Beijing bikinis and smoking around here. Obviously, not too long ago, China did not have a border with itself. It had a border with the UK. Hong Kong was a British colony. But in the 1980s, negotiations began between Deng Xiaoping and Margaret Thatcher to return control of Hong Kong back to the Chinese. Now technically, the agreement that was signed after the Opium Wars was that the British could keep Hong Kong Island in perpetuity, Kowloon as well. But the thing is, if you look at the geography, and walking around here makes that very obvious, all of the water that goes into Hong Kong, all the fresh water, comes from mainland China. China is in full control over Hong Kong's water supply. And now, as the sun sets on Shenzhen, I think we'll do one last trip. This one's a little more spontaneous. I didn't plan to go back on this trip, but let's cross the border and head back to Hong Kong one more time. Let's go. Apparently I can catch a bus from here to the Futian checkpoint. That's where border control is. We're gonna have to enter Hong Kong through the front door. Now look. You can even charge your phone or your camera on the bus. The convenience of Shenzhen. Okay. Now we're at the border checkpoint. Wait, what's that music? Could that be what I think it is? They couldn't be doing it here, could they? Hold on. It's a Guangchang Wu. It's a Chinese old people square dance. They're doing a square dance in the shadow of the border of Hong Kong. That's a top tier square dance right there. I don't have time to dance with them this time. Next time. That big glass building over there is the border. They're carrying bags. A lot of people, especially if they have a Shenzhen hukou, that is, they have, how do I describe a hukou? It's almost like citizenship by city. Basically, some people have the right to go into Hong Kong every day, which they do, to buy and sell goods. They might go in, buy some stuff in Hong Kong, then bring it back to China, and vice versa. Bring back a weird form of nostalgia. I've done this so many times. So there are two parts to the border between mainland China and Hong Kong. First is you have to go through customs on the Chinese side, as in mainland China. Check your passport, check to see if you're someone suspicious. But once you get through that, you're on your way to Hong Kong, where they actually have a separate border outpost. You have to go through customs all over again to get into Hong Kong. And now we're officially in Hong Kong. What a process. Every time you enter Hong Kong without a visa, you get a little slip of paper. You don't get a stamp in your passport. You get a little slip that says you can stay here for 2 months. Has your name on it, your information. And then once you're on the other side, you're immediately in a Hong Kong metro station. You can hop on a train that will take you to Kowloon, Hong Kong Island, wherever. Just fished out my octopus card. So if you look on this map right here, this shows the geography of Shenzhen and Hong Kong. We right now are right up here. This gray area is Shenzhen. And then you could take a train all the way down to Kowloon and Hong Kong Island. So here you have Hong Kongers arriving, preparing to go over the border to Shenzhen. And here you have me, probably a lot of people from mainland China, preparing to go into Hong Kong. Ooh, that air conditioning feels good. If you're a foreigner who frequently goes between the mainland and Hong Kong, coming to Hong Kong, I don't know how to describe it. It kind of just brings this feeling of familiarity. Hong Kong has like these distinctive sounds that you hear in the metro. The language is Cantonese. Maybe it's because, I don't know, the Western influence, or the fact that Hong Kong is just a little more developed than the mainland still. But it just feels comforting in a way. Of course, then you start paying for things in Hong Kong, you see some of the prices, and you go running back to the mainland. Look, it's the ding ding. Bye, ding ding.